Welcome to Sips and Side Quests, an adventure-themed podcast series where we quest to quench our thirst for knowledge. If you're new to the show, there are a few things to know. The episodes are dressed up to be their own fantasy game-inspired verbal adventures. Each segment takes place within a fictional town or the surrounding areas. And much like any great expedition, the topics of our discussions may range far and wide. I'm your host, Darren.
And I'm your co-host, Troy. Thanks for being here with us for episode number 002. That's right, we did another one. Don't forget, new episodes, they release every Thursday morning on most major streaming platforms, so wherever you're listening to this right now, come back here next Thursday morning, there'll be a new one. Today's adventure, in a word, I would say intense, I think. Darren, you want to give us the episode rundown, see what we're getting into here?
Yeah, let's go over what's happening today. Our adventure starts where all the best ones do, in the tavern. The drinks are free-flowing at this establishment, so we'll tell you all about our drinks of the day, followed up by picking our poison in today's Tavern Tales, the story-based portion of our podcast. An enlightening recollection about drinks that have scorned us awaits. After our dose of liquid courage, we'll muster up the strength to stomp out some local crime with Dexterity Save, our rapid-fire Q&A segment. Once we're finished booting and looting, our adventure will take us to the Curiosities Emporium to learn about a condiment that can cure all that ails you. So, that's a pretty jam-packed adventure headed right your way. Let's kick things off with a question. Troy, what are you sipping on?
It's a great question. Might be my favorite question. So, today's drink, it's basically part 2 of last week's Sips segment. I'm back again with yet another pale ale. If you tuned into episode 1, you know that I had Sierra Nevadas last week. And if you didn't tune into episode 1, I don't know what you're doing here. Go back and listen to that. But
pause this and go check it out.
Sierra Nevada's pale ale, as mentioned last week, I'll say it again just real quick. It's actually known as the first widely sold version of pale ale in America. But the one I have today, it's actually a local variant. It comes from Columbus Brewing Company right here in central Ohio. So
I like them.
Funnily enough, actually, Columbus Brewing Company's pale ale, it's not even available year-round. It's a seasonal drink from them, which I found odd because pale ales are usually pretty popular. But maybe they should sell it year-round because this is pretty good. Honestly, it might be better than Sierra Nevada's, but don't tell them that. I picked this one because, for one, Columbus Brewing Company, they're pretty well known here in Ohio. They've been around since 1988, so that's a decent amount of time for a business, I think. And they were apparently, according to their website, one of the first craft brands to introduce an IPA to the Ohio market. So that's pretty cool. I definitely plan to showcase a lot of these different local drinks going forward. So that's sort of the reason for the pivot to someplace local. And, you know, this brewery, Columbus Brewing Company, perfect place to start. They've got the longevity. They've got some notoriety. They have a decent amount of options to choose from, which I'll definitely be getting into on future episodes. And the pale ale seemed to fit naturally here. Not only because it ties into episode 1, which you should go listen to if you haven't, but because this drink was actually Columbus Brewing Company's first ever flagship beer. So a lot of history there, a lot of history with pale ales in general, which is good because they kind of make the perfect launching point for basically every other craft beer that I'm going to be drinking. So next week will not be a pale ale, it'll be something different, but this is where it all starts. So that's what I've got today. Darren, what are you sipping on over there?
You know, we'll get to that in just a second. I've got some questions. I didn't know, first and foremost, that was their first flagship beer. I mean, they're a pretty established brand around here. I mean, you can find them on any shelves, and they've got maybe like 4 or 5 different options, even at the poorly stocked places.
Yeah, I was interested. I've never seen the Columbus Brewing Company Pale Ale, so I picked it up for the reasons listed. And then on the can, it actually says that it is a recipe that harkens back to their roots. So I was a little curious about that, did some research on their website, and yeah, I mean, this was apparently like the first one as far as like flagship beers go. So pretty neat, I think. Yeah.
From a piece of history, the pioneer to the new cat on the block. So that's pretty cool to see. I had another question as well. You had mentioned that It was something that isn't offered year-round. I've heard of seasonal offerings, but never as a pale ale. Do you know why that might be? That's unique.
Yeah, I couldn't find where. If I had to guess, it would probably be because, like I said, it was their like first flagship. So it's probably just like an old recipe that was on the menu for a long time that they might have gotten rid of for some like newer variants. That would be my guess, but yeah, it is only seasonal. They didn't like explicitly state why, but who knows? Maybe I'll shoot them an email, see if we can find out.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. It probably would have been my guess along those lines as well. So I mean, thanks for sharing that. That's great. From the pioneer, that's a great transition.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
So, what am I sipping on today? That is a great question as well. So, what I have for you today is a Greyhound. So, the Greyhound is a really simple drink. It's grapefruit juice and vodka or gin. And so some of you, calm down, it's okay. Some of you may be wincing at the mention of vodka in the drink. You are correct that the original recipe called for gin. But interestingly, many bartenders today will give you vodka in the Greyhound if you ask. So that's the modern take on it. Not sure. I looked up to try and see when it transitioned, and it just seems like they're both very neutral spirits is why, but not really any good reasons. So the general consensus is that the first printed version of the Greyhound was in 1930. The legendary London hotel, the Savoy, printed a cocktail book that contained the first recipe of the drink. The author of the cocktail book was Harry Craddock. Harry Craddock was a celebrity bartender of the 1920s and 1930s. And so this is the first iteration of the drink, but it wasn't called a Greyhound until 1945, when the drink was officially named a Greyhound in print by Harper's Magazine, supposedly because it was a popular cocktail at Greyhound bus terminals. I've never heard of anyone drinking at a bus terminal other than through a brown bag. So as a bonus for you, I'm not actually drinking a Greyhound. I am drinking a Salty Dog, which is the same drink with a salted rim. It's believed to have been popularized by an American actor named George Jessel in the 1950s, and it helps balance out the grapefruit's bitterness.
Did you say George Jetson?
No, common mistake, I'm sure. George Jessel.
Okay. So, my first thing is, you really misled us there. Why'd you do that?
You know, 2 drinks for the price of 1, right? The Greyhound, I think, has the better history. I mean, you put a salted rim on a glass and you can't just claim that it's your drink, but it definitely makes a much tastier cocktail.
It seems like you're just maybe trying to one-up me and say, so that you can say in private that you've shared more drinks on the podcast than I have. Is that maybe the case here?
I don't think that's correct, because I'm not trying to do it privately. I think it's very public.
Okay. No, that's it's an interesting drink. I'm not very big into vodka or gin, so can't really speak on the combination myself. But I did hear a tidbit in there about, you said celebrity bartender. I don't think I've heard the phrase. Is that a celebrity who was a bartender, or just a bartender who was so good that they became a celebrity just from their craft?
Yeah, so just a bartender that became a celebrity because they were so good. I left out a part in there because I didn't think it was super important, but Harry Craddock actually immigrated to the United States and started bartending as well, and became very popular up until Prohibition, and that's when he left. Yep.
Prohibition ruined everything.
Ended in his prime. Yep. So that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why he's so legendary, though. I feel like that's usually the case when things end early. They kind of become legendary in their own right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it much more iconic.
That's cool, though. I appreciate the history there.
Definitely. I'll be leaving here today way more knowledgeable than I came in, especially about pale ales. So there's only one thing that could make these drinks better, and that's the part of the show where we tell stories. Welcome to Tavern Tales. The tavern is packed full of travelers and townsfolk looking to wash away the week. The sun has long since gone down, and the lighting flickers evenly across the decorated walls. The packed walls keep the rowdy crowd's volume to a more manageable level. Different walks of life from across the globe stop here for a brief respite. No judgment follows you into this establishment. So, Troy, what's a drink that you had a poor experience with that you'll never go back to? Bonus points if you can name a drink that you know fails your constitution stave, but you still drink.
Okay. I have I want to say it's a great answer to this question, but it's actually a terrible answer to this question. And I'm just going to say the name here, and then I want to hear your reaction. I don't know if you've actually ever had this. I don't think it's super popular. It's called UV Blue. Are you familiar?
I've heard that name. Is it just a crappy vodka?
Yes. It is. Not only that, it is a crappy blue raspberry flavored vodka. I was looking online. Apparently, you can get a bottle for like $9 right now. So
That's bad.
It's pretty bad. I had it one time, one night, and will not touch it since. Have not had it since. The experience was that bad. Let me jump into the story to give a little bit more context here. So, this was again in my early 20s. 8, 9, 10 years ago. I don't even remember. It's all kind of a blur to me at this point, right? But I digress. My friends and I, we did a lot of local traveling back in the day. And by that I mean we had friends who went to different colleges and we would visit them on their campuses to, what else? Go out and party, drink, do what college age kids do. So we drove down. We had a friend. She was living in a dorm or an apartment on campus. Obviously not going to say the college or who she was or anything like that. But all you need to know is a couple friends and I, we drove down. We were all good friends. We all had known each other for a while. And we drove down there. I really don't remember if we were the ones to buy the UV Blue. I don't think that's something I would ever agree with. And the guys I was with, I don't think would ever be interested in it. So the person we were visiting, she was a girl. She was a woman. And she, as such, she lived with a couple other women. So I would have to imagine that's something that they had on hand that we ended up drinking. So
They used to have $9, apparently.
I mean, that's definitely like a college level budget drink. You know what I mean? Like you're on a college budget. You're like, let's get some vodka, and not to mention, it's called UV Blue because I don't know if you looked this up, Darren, but the liquid is blue. The liquid itself is actually blue. So it's kind of cutesy, whatever. I don't know. They had to have
It's
picked
got a
it.
gimmick.
It's gimmicky. They had to have picked it. I would never have agreed to this otherwise. So anyway, we get down there and as you do, you start pre-gaming, right? So it's like me and then 2 guy friends and then the girl, and she had like 2 roommates. So it was like pretty, it was solid ratio, 3 guys, 3 girls. We put on some music, we're taking some drinks. I don't remember a lot about this night, unfortunately, but I will tell you what I do remember. And that's that my one friend and I, back then we were very competitive. We used to lift weights together all the time, do all sorts of things like that. And so as a result, there was just sort of that like masculine competitive energy within us.
Oh, no.
So I'm sure anybody can see where this is going, but they offered us the bottle because they weren't going to drink it, which I mean, I guess should have been like my first clue, but they weren't interested in it. So, my friend and I, we'll call him Doug. Doug and I decided, let's take some shots of this. So I take a shot, he takes a shot, I take a shot, he takes a shot. Keep in mind, we're pre-gaming still at this point. So, for example, Darren, if I know you had some like nights out and stuff, in college, you lived on campus, stuff like that. How many drinks, liquor-wise, would you say is like a solid amount for pre-game? Like, what would you not go above if you're pre-gaming and then planning to like go out afterwards?
Pre-gaming, obviously it depends on the person. My inclination is that if you hit maybe like 5 is like bad. Like 4 to 5 is probably like the pre-game range, right?
4 to 5. I would agree with that now. Yes. I would agree with that now.
College time. I definitely could drink a lot more. Based
sure.
on where I've been, probably like 7 to 8 then at that time.
Yeah, 7 to 8 seems like a lot to me. um, now, so
Subjective.
anyway, that was just to give context to the story here. Also, we weren't like throwing a party over there. It was just like the group of friends, some roommates, and we were fully planning to like go out to the bars, whatever. It was not by any means the intention or the vibe to get trashed at the apartment, right? Now, that is what happened. That is what happened. Like I said, they gave us the entire bottle. They didn't want it. So things got competitive, I would say, around maybe like the 5 to 6 shot range, because we would keep checking in with each other. Like, how many of you had? How many of you had? And if he was ahead, I would take another one. And then maybe he'd take 2 more. So to make a long story a little bit shorter, I don't remember the exact number. I want to say 17 or 18 shots each.
That's like need to have your stomach pumped level amount of shots.
So he definitely ended up barfing. I managed to hold it in. I will say neither of us made it out of the apartment that night. We both decided, I don't think either one of us won, and even if one of us did win the competition, did they really win? You know what I mean? But yeah, we got to a point where either the bottle was gone or we were just like, this is terrible. Because remember, it's blue raspberry vodka, so there's like sugar and stuff in there too. It's not just vodka, it's flavored vodka, and it's blue. So, after a certain point, I mean, we just had to quit. We both literally went and laid down in separate beds, obviously, but that was it. We laid down, and the world was spinning for me. I know he was in the bathroom quite a bit. I managed to keep things in. The only thing I really remember is like just laying in that bed, and then the rest of them went out without us, of course, as is their right. But I just remember her coming back, and I was in like our friend's bed who lived there, and I was too like feeling way too bad to even get up, so she just like slept next to me because I was just in that bad of shape that she was just like, you know what, you need this. So yeah, I will never ever touch that stuff again. Funnily enough, like I said, I only tasted it once. I can still taste it, like thinking back, remembering, I can still taste it. And if somebody gave that to me, even just the smell, I think would like give me some sort of trauma response or something. I don't know. So that's my story. Pretty simple one. Just a young boy who drank a little too much. Unfortunately, the drink happened to be gross and terrible. So that's that. Just quickly for some bonus points here, one that fails my constitution save but that I still drink. My answer for this, pretty much anything with citrus. I get a real bad like gastro response. Like I get like some heartburn and stuff when I drink like beer or anything that has like orange, grapefruit. Like your drink would probably kind of mess me up a little bit. But I still drink it because it's delicious. For example, Mango Cart. That's a wheat beer. I might drink that on a different episode. It's a mango wheat beer. It's delicious. I'll drink it regardless. Even if it's like those people who are lactose intolerant, but they're like, I'm still eating ice cream. I'm still eating cheese. It's the same thing for me. It's going to mess me up, but you know what? What comes after is worth drinking it in the moment. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, the people with the lactose situation, they eat the most dairy of anyone that I know, and it's not even close. And I like cheese,
Oh, I love cheese. I mean, if I was lactose, I'm not living without it. Unless I had never had it and didn't know how good it was. But if you have the experience once, you're like, yeah, this is the rest of my life. I don't care. You know what I mean?
So let's just a little bit of flashback noises here. Episode 1. You said that you've never blacked out, but you said you don't remember much of the night where you had 17 to 18 shots. That's blackout.
Oh my, are we really? If we're going to get into this again, I remember bits and pieces of the night. My definition of blackout, and it's in the name here, blackout, right? All you should remember from a blackout is when you start drinking and then nothing at all, zero memory at all until you wake up the next morning. That to me is blackout. That to me is there's a big black gap. Now, yes, I have multiple smaller black gaps in my memory, but I still have some memories of the night. I remember taking the drinks. I remember laying them in the bed. I remember, our friend coming back and laying in the bed when they got back from going out. That to me is not blackout. That's just how I define it. And I think that's how the majority of people would define it, frankly.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and let us know down in the comments? Do you think that he blacked out if he only remembers bits and pieces, or do you think that wasn't a blackout? Let us know.
Hit the comments with a hashtag Darren is wrong if you think I'm right. Thank you.
Hashtag no one uses hashtag. It's 2025, Troy. Moving on. Wow. That's a tough one to top. That reminds me of a story. I'm going to digress just for a quick minute here. Speaking of college and drinking too much. So, you ever heard of the song Thunderstruck by AC/DC?
Yes, and I've played the game associated. But
yep.
Continue.
Okay, so for people that aren't familiar, what you do is the person next to you start drinking whenever it goes thunder, and then once they stop drinking is when you can stop drinking. And then you keep doing that every thunder. So you'd play that with a beer, maybe wine. We're talking like the crap box wine.
Wine? Oh.
I played it with a 151 cocktail.
Oh my, dude. And wait, this isn't the answer to your story? This is just a side?
This is not the answer. I would still.
How is this not the answer? That is, yeah. Oh my, I hate doing it with beer. You're doing it with 151?
Yeah, I realized my mistake. But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you the rest of that story on another episode. So my drink that fails, I guess not that my fails my save, but that I do pour with, in college, you don't try to make fancy cocktails. You make well drinks. You mix whatever you have on hand. You have a liquor, and then you have a soda, maybe a juice. I had cherry 7-Up and vodka. So
oh boy.
It doesn't even sound good. And that might be because I have the same situation that you have where you've got the trauma response,
Yeah.
But I don't have a grandiose story. Honestly, I was just sitting there playing a game of dominoes, and I was just drinking, and it goes down really easy. But as it goes, it doesn't taste the same on the second go-around. We'll just say that. And so I will never drink. I don't even drink cherry 7-Up now on its own. So it ruined me off of that brand of vodka, Absolute Citron, and it also ruined me off of cherry 7-Up. So I lost two things on that day, but I don't think Absolute Citron's a big miss.
Was it just that bad, or did you get too drunk off of it? What's the reason you won't go back to it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I tossed my cookies, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to dance around it to not go too into it.
No, let's not mince words here. We've all, everybody's,
Yeah, I tossed my cookies, and it's not as good on the second go around, right? Drinking it tastes one way, coming back up tastes another, and I will never forget that. It is very acidic.
Oh man, I'm really struggling. Sorry, I'm really struggling to not give my own anecdote about tossing cookies and it tasting on the way back. I won't even get into it. It's too gross for this early in the episode.
We're here for drinks, not for barf.
Yeah. You're so right. Let's forget about it.
On to something much more positive. My bonus points. A drink that fails my constitution save, but I still drink. So.
Yeah, what's that?
That is a green tea. You've had this, maybe not under the same name, but you don't need to mention the name. A green tea consists of peach schnapps, lemon lime soda, sour mix, and whiskey. This drink tastes nothing like the ingredients. It nor does it taste like its namesake. It's just, color and cute. But I would liken it to almost like a lemonade, like a slightly off lemonade. One or two of those, you will be feeling really good.
Oh, this is the drink from your wedding.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a
It's a
huge
good drink.
cocktail guy, but man, that drink single-handedly got me through a wait, what is it? A best man speech. That drink saved my life that night.
But there was plenty of people that uh, still talk about the drink. I know there's people that had like maybe three or four, and that's all it takes. I originally found the drink. Um, I don't remember if I told the story in the pilot or if it was in episode one. I think it was about the most I ever drank. Wasn't that episode one?
The most that was the pilot, which
Okay.
is secret, unreleased. You guys won't
Unreleased,
have heard
sneaky.
that
But
one.
so I was on a cruise ship, and they have an open bar on most cruise ships, I imagine. And so I wanted to get my money's worth. And so I had 15 drinks. It did not end well, but along the way, I believe drink four or five, this nice server, I was like, "Hey, what's a good drink?" And he's like, "Here, try the green tea." And that's when I knew. He also mentioned trying a Washington Bulldog, which I don't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it's like a Diet Coke and maybe vodka and a few other things. We'll have to explore that later. But
You know what I can really appreciate about cocktails is the name schemes. They've got some cool names for some of these. The Washington Bulldog? Are you kidding me?
it was like Washington Bulldog or like, yeah, no, it must have been
Something
that.
like that. The Greyhound, the Salty
I had
Dog. It's a lot
I had a
of
Royal Flush later that day as well. I can't remember what that is. I've tried looking up the recipe. I cannot find it. But
it was a cruise ship exclusive. Dang it.
yeah, because you know how you do. You go to a bartender and you're like, make me your drink. And that is, as someone who's bartended, that is rude. Don't do that. But
Really?
that's how you find some interesting ones.
Interesting. I might have done that once or twice. I'm just trying to be like
I still do it too.
like friendly. Like not only friendly, but just like, let me try something new. Surprise, like excite me, which I guess it's not their job to do that, but
Not at all.
didn't know it was considered rude or annoying. Wow.
That might just be me. Chime in if you're a bartender and you have a different thought. But I digress. It kind of feels like the drinks are starting to take a toll. How many was it? It's tough to keep track with the bartender pouring like your family. Vision blurs and senses start to dull. The front door swings open with a loud thud. Startled, you turn around in your seat to see what the ruckus is. No one's there. Must have been the wind. You turn back around in your seat to find your mug spilled across the bar. The foamy golden trail from the mug leads directly onto the lap of the patron next to you, a familiar face. The bandaged mountain of a man you recognize to be a bandit leader. He's stood up, and his face is bright red. He places his hands on your shoulders and starts screaming profanities at you. You'll need to think on your feet to survive his verbal flurry of blows. Make a dexterity save.
Cue the dice rolling sound effect.
Thanks for that. All right, Troy. Zombies or vampires?
Vampires.
Summon one snack into existence. What is it?
Goldfish crackers.
Window seat or aisle?
Window seat, of course.
Sword, staff, or dagger?
Ooh, dagger.
You enter a tavern. What's the first thing you do?
Look around into the corners of the building and see if there's any shady creatures or people lurking.
That tracks. Would you rather fight one dragon-sized goose or 10 goose-sized dragons?
10 goose-sized dragons. Geese are scary.
Nicely done.
Thank goodness.
The bandaged man standing before you gasps loudly, trying to catch his breath. His flurry of attempted blows slow to a crawl as his eyes roll back into his head. He teeters on his heels back and forth before landing on the ground with a resounding thud. What a hassle. May as well see if he has any coin on him to pay for the drinks. So, zombies or vampires? You picked vampires. What are your thoughts?
Because I feel like I'd want to be a vampire, but I would not want to be a zombie. And I can elaborate if you'd like.
You certainly can. I mean, that makes sense. Whenever you say zombie, I don't know why, but I think of Shaun of the Dead, and it just doesn't sound like a zombie is the life for me either.
I don't know that I've seen that movie. Have you seen the movie Warm Bodies?
Isn't that the lovey-dovey one?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
No.
Okay. God, I had hope that you had seen it because you seemed like you had seen it. No. I mean, I guess I won't go there. It's a lovey-dovey. Like a human falls in love with a zombie, and the zombies are like more, they like act exactly like people, but they're just zombies. I don't know. Can't talk right now. It did not make living like a zombie seem very fun. I mean, most of them are upset all the time. They're depressed. They're constantly craving like human flesh and meat and stuff. That seems like just a hassle, you know? Vampires, on the other hand, I mean, we've all seen Twilight. You know, they're cool. They get girls, they get chicks. They can like run really fast. You know, hopefully I would not be a vampire. And I'm assuming this is a question of like, which would you rather be? That's how I'm taking it. But I think my answer is the same regardless of the context. Hopefully I wouldn't be one of the sparkly vampires. I mean, I guess I could live with it. But I don't know. I mean, I'd probably try to be one of the... Would I? I'm questioning myself to see if I would rather be one of the vampires that, you know, abstains from consuming human blood and gets it from, like, animals and things. But I don't know if I would.
They've done that, actually. I think the movie was called... it was either Daybreakers or Daywalkers. I want to say it came out in, like, maybe 2008. And so what they did was they came up with, like, a synthetic blood substitute. And
Really?
so
Okay.
for vampires, yeah, and they hated it. It didn't taste as good. Which we're not going to get into it, but think like burgers versus like faux meat, right? You know, it's different. Regardless of how either of us feel about it, it is a different texture.
Yeah, just never quite as satisfying. I agree.
But, you know, the question is vampires or zombies? So that to me isn't like, do you want to be one?
Okay.
That to me is like, do you want to fight one? But also at the same time, I feel like vampires act on their own as opposed to zombies are just kind of mindless. So it's interesting that you have the Warm Bodies movie as a reference because usually we don't get like the zombie perspective.
Like never. But you know what? Yeah, I was thinking that. My brain was going there like while you were talking as well. Which would I rather fight? Which would I rather be attacked by or even killed by? Still vampires, right? Because like vampire, it's just like, you know, teeth to the neck. You either turn into a vampire or you just get the blood drained from you and you're gone. Zombies. I mean, have you seen some of these zombies? Like, I mean, you have. The movies, the TV shows. People die horrific deaths in these shows because the zombies just tear them up alive. Have you ever seen Walking Dead?
Carl.
No, you haven't. My people who have seen Walking Dead out there, and I guess it's a spoiler, but it's like, it's the show ended forever ago, so get over it. Noah's death in The Walking Dead, I'll describe it to you, Darren. You know everybody hates Chris? So the show?
No.
Oh my, this guy doesn't watch any TV shows. This is terrible. Okay, I'll summarize it. They're running out of a mall, and they're not all going to make it. So one of the guys sacrifices the other guys, and he gets stuck in one of those revolving doors, the glass revolving doors, the circle. And the zombies like push him up against the glass and just eat him alive. And you can just see his face pushed up against the glass, just like pure terror while he's getting torn apart. Oh, it's gruesome. So
I'd watch it.
You should. Walking Dead is a pretty good show. Certain seasons. And then other seasons, you kind of just have to speed through. But most of it's pretty good.
Yeah, but isn't Walking Dead like the zombie equivalent of One Piece? Like it went on way too long.
It did go on way too long.
let me specify. Maybe I'll say Simpsons because I still do like One Piece. Please don't yell at us. That was my mistake.
I haven't actually seen One Piece. This is
Okay,
super
yell at
off.
him.
This is super off topic. Sorry, it's actually kind of on topic, and I don't mean we're like still on the very first answer, and that's fine.
We're
But I
collecting loot.
just
We're
want
looking
to
at his
ask:
pocket.
have you I've heard some Castlevania. It's an anime, I believe.
I've heard of it. I would watch it. I'm less an anime guy these days. I usually just read the books.
Okay, I've actually never watched anime at all, really, apart from like DBZ, which I don't know if that's even considered anime. But I've been seeing some
baseline.
stuff about Castlevania. Apparently, it is like vampires. Like Dracula is like one of the like a main person or something. So
The gold standard across anime and books alike, and I'm sure a lot of people could agree with this, is Hellsing Ultimate. So I won't go too in depth with it, but the main character is Alucard, who's like this super overpowered vampire. Alucard is just Dracula backwards.
Clever.
So have you seen Team 4-Star?
Are they the ones that do the DBZ abridged?
Yes, they did an abridged for Hellsing.
Okay. I haven't seen that one, but I've seen the DBZ parts of it.
Yeah, so that would be a good one. But
Okay.
we digress.
Oh, quite a bit here. Yeah, let's get back on track here.
Rein it on back. All right.
Sure.
You manifested a snack, and that was goldfish. I don't know about this one. I think it's a solid pick in the moment, but I mean, pizza rolls.
So you have to remember that I'm like really on the spot here. I didn't know these questions beforehand. Now I said goldfish because I have a bowl of off-brand goldfish in front of me right now. So it's I'm trying kind of just going with the first thing I think. And when you don't give me options in the question, like this or that, I'm forced to just come up with the first thing that comes to mind here. So I do have some off-brand goldfish. They're actually sea turtles. I don't know.
We were just talking.
I don't know what's going on out there with the cheese flavored like marine life snacks. There's like a whole line or something, but no, I chose that because they're right in front of me. If I had some time to think, snacks. Would we include appetizers as a snack, or is that like that's appetizers? It's a different thing.
That's a great question. I'm just now looking up your sea turtles. Those are super cute. I think I would be really, really upset to eat those. I feel like,
I mean, they're
fish,
pretty like well
whatever,
shaped. They've got
but-
like they got the little tail and the little shell and stuff. It's a good texture to eat though. It's great.
Definition of a snack: a small amount of food eaten between meals. So also option 2, a sexually attractive person, but option 1.
Okay. So I wouldn't classify appetizers under that definition.
I would think so, honestly. I think it's just like a smaller portion of an appetizer, but we can roll with not doing it as an appetizer. I think that helps narrow it down,
Okay.
because otherwise it would just be like popcorn chicken or
Snack.
something like that.
I'm gonna stick with goldfish are solid. Sea turtles in this case, whatever. Cheddar baked snack crackers are solid. I take those anytime. But if I had some more time to think, I'm gonna hit you with something out of left field here. Pierogies.
Isn't that an appetizer?
No.
Where
Where do you
draw the
go?
line?
Where do you go to get pierogies as an appetizer? They're in the freezer aisle. You throw them in the air fryer. It's a snack.
Look, I know that you don't get out of the house often, but restaurants,
What's that?
they just came out with them recently. Pierogies. Okay, I mean, that's fine. I feel like if I do pizza rolls, then,
Yes, if you do pizza rolls, I can do pierogies. And I challenge you to send me a link to one menu within 20 to 30 minutes of us that has pierogies as an appetizer on the menu.
I could probably do Cleveland, which is not 20 to 30 minutes, but we
Exactly.
don't need to say exactly where we're at. Cleveland is big on pierogies. I bet they probably even have some pierogies as an entree.
Not here, though. Not where we're at. Not 20 to 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure. Sure. Okay, I don't feel like this one is going anywhere progressive. Let's
Probably
let's
not.
check on the next one. This one I thought would be pretty divisive, but you sounded pretty sure. Window seat or aisle? You chose the window seat.
Yes, absolutely. Why would you think it would be divisive?
I see, as someone who likes both, like I'll alternate whether I pick the aisle or the window seat. At least with the aisle seat, like depending on who you have in the middle seat, if I'm in the window seat, I'm trying everything in my power to make the person in the middle. I'm trying to make their life better because I know that's awful. So, with the aisle seat, I've got man spread. So I can kind of like kick it out into the aisle a little bit.
That's valid. That's valid, but I guess I just don't think like that because I almost always take the emergency exit row, so I have ample leg space regardless. And if you
You're
can have
responsible
ample...
enough for that?
Yes, of course. They ask me the
Okay.
questions. Am I physically able?
really
I
do.
say yes every time. And I'll tell you what, having ample leg space and being able to look out the window and see like the beautiful views, unbeaten. Every time. Now, I will say this, I think it varies per person. If you're somebody that has maybe like a small bladder, you have to get up a bunch during the flight, you probably take the aisle seat, right? Me, I go in the airport. I go to the waiting area. I'm like, do I need to go? If I do, I go. And then guess what? I don't go on the flight for the most part, unless it's a long flight. But I'm not really out here taking long flights, So, no, window seat. I like to see out it. I like to look at the clouds, I like to look out there, hopefully look out there and hope that I don't see anything standing on the wing. What's that one, what was it? That show, like that old show, Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Yep,
That was a
there's a
bit,
gorilla.
right?
Yeah. There's a gorilla on the wing.
Or
That's
look
good.
out the window, make sure like Homelander isn't flying anywhere around about to laser us out of the sky.
It's good to have an active imagination. I would agree with you that I rarely use the bathroom on planes just because it's really inconvenient to do so. So it's like use the bathroom prior and then like stay as dehydrated as possible because it's an inconvenience to get up on the plane. Like I just want to sit there and whether it be nap or like my own devices. So
Yeah.
I do agree with that, but I think they're relatively interchangeable. I mean, most of the time on a plane, I'm trying to sleep. I'm trying to nap like a baby and teleport from A to B.
Can you sleep on planes? Not, well, I know it's allowed. Can you specifically, are you able to sleep on planes yourself?
Okay, I'm glad we know it's legal. Yeah, I can sleep on a plane. So my secret is,
Can you imagine the flight attendants walk, hey, sir, you need to wake up.
Newspaper,
Oh my goodness.
the squirt bottle and stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a secret. I have like a hoodie that I wear. It's like a zip up hoodie. You put the hood up, I zip it up. I'm cozy. That's nap time. That's as easy as that. Which is crazy because I'm not normally a nap guy. I could be super tired and I won't nap midway through the day. I can, but I just don't.
Yeah, that does sound super easy. Let me hit you with this though. You were asking me all these questions. Let me ask you one. Neck pillow or no neck pillow?
No neck pillow.
Really? That's so surprising. I have to fly with a neck pillow.
It's inconvenient to carry, and it doesn't really do much for me. So, depending on the plane that you get on, they have like you can change the headrest and put it up on the sides, so I don't fall over or anything.
Don't you feel like it adds a little bit of swag to your appearance though, to be carrying it around with you through the airport?
Not at all.
Oh, well.
In fact, I judge people. It definitely adds something to the appearance, but I don't know if it's a good thing.
It's just like that vibe, I probably could do without it, but I just like, it just puts me in that mood, the travel mood. You know what I'm talking about.
Hey, listener, are you team neck pillow or are you team no neck pillow? But anyways, moving on. This one had multiple options. I was going to throw you with this. Sword, staff, or dagger. I thought for sure you were going to pick dagger, and you surprised me by picking the one that I thought you would. Dagger.
Dagger. I took this as sort of a three-way fight, right? A three-way battle. Like you're dropped into an arena and you get to pick one weapon and then you're facing two opponents that have the other weapons. Now, a staff, assuming that my opponent can't do magic because this is like based in reality, staff's probably the weakest option. I'm assuming it's made of like wood or something there or other. Now, probably, pretty good for a whack in the head, but not the best weapon for defense. You can't really do any real lethal damage with it. It's really just like a magic thing. in my opinion. So that was obviously the weakest option. I was between sword or dagger. I feel like a sword would maybe be a little too bulky, right? A sword against a staff, awesome. Probably wins every time. A sword against a dagger, though, I feel like if you get one good dodge on a sword, you can just swoop in there with the dagger and just boom, 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 boom. Multiple stabs, and they're incapacitated. That was my line of thought for this question.
So I didn't think like you did about the magic. I was like, for sure the staff is the pick because, I just cast a spell. But yeah, you're right. If we're thinking more of like maybe like a monk using the staff, and I am not a monk, then it definitely takes the staff out of the equation. It is definitely the weakest of the bunch. I agree with that. The sword, I think, is a better pick because you know what would make a dagger better if it was longer? It's just a long dagger. And so the thing about like UFC, boxing, fighting, they look for reach. And so if you've got the reach, then you will teach.
You're definitely right about the reach, and I like the rhymes. I'm a sucker for rhyme schemes. But I don't know. It's very dependent like on your dodging skills. Like I said, you make one good dodge, it's over. Which you can't say the same for a sword. Swords are mostly you'd probably use it for blocking. You probably wouldn't be dodging as much. So not as many opportunities for like a quick ending to the fight there.
Maybe I've got a sheath, right? Like maybe I use the sheath to block.
Okay, well now we're just like leaving the realm of reality and just, maybe I have a. Sorry, I'll bleep that out.
You'd better. I'm gonna listen. It's no. It has an orange cap. We're fine.
I have a Nerf gun. Right. Okay.
Right. Sure. Squirt gun. Yeah, like the apple. I remember when previously it was, that emoji on the phones, and they changed it to a squirt gun, and it was the funniest thing.
Yeah. I mean, I get it though, because there are so many like children with these iPhones these days. So it's not the worst thing. I'm not like. We won't get too political, but I don't see a huge problem with that one. It is funny though. It's a funny anecdote.
I agree with that. I don't see a major issue with it, but I remember when it happened, and it was just the funniest thing. But
right.
Either way, so the fifth question: you enter a tavern. What's the first thing you do? I have experience playing D&D with you, and this is what you do every single time. You go skulk in the corners.
This was like the easiest question you could have asked me, because I've been asked this question by multiple DMs throughout the years. Like
this is an intervention.
Through multiple taverns. Of course, you got to look in the
You've
corners.
Been exposed.
The corners are where the interesting people always are. Tell me I'm wrong.
So that not always, right? Like sometimes they're planted at the bar as well. Like further off, sure, but not like in a dark corner. Depends how much the DM's trying to railroad you. So I would say the vast majority of people, I would be as brazen to say 65% of people are going to the bar.
And I'll say, when I had a dwarf character in a campaign, I went straight to the bar, right?
Okay, but that's not necessarily it, right? Sure, like people go to the bar and it's like, hey, what are you buying, right? But that's not everything. A lot of people go to the bartender because the bartender sees things. The bartender has been sitting there. He sees that really weird guy with a scar over one of his eyes and a hook. He knows he's been in his bar. So it's not a bad place to start either.
Let me ask you this. Where was the bartender when the bandit leader was attacking us? Just a bit ago.
Minding his business.
See, that's why we go to the corners, because we don't trust the bartender.
He runs a business. He's not trying to get, anything in trouble.
See, that's the other thing. If I go to the bartender, I'm going to have to pay him. I'm going to have to pay him for information, likely. Or I'm going to have to buy a drink at least before he wants to talk to me. The people in the corners, they probably have some cool, shady stuff to sell. Like some weird potions or like daggers laced with poison or something. You know what I mean? Or like a sneaky quest to go on. I don't know. Something different.
Or it like triggers a fight, yeah. But let's walk it back. You'd have to buy a drink for him to give you information. Most of the seedy people that you run across are going to be the same way. They're going to be like, buy me a drink and I'll tell you.
Yeah, but at least they're being straightforward, right? They're like, you pay me and I'll give you the information. The bartender, he likes to play coy. He's like, I'm running a business. Buy a drink and maybe I'll talk to you. Like, it's less of a, it's more of like a wink transaction, whereas the shady character, they're like, it's straightforward. It's like, pay me for this information. That's it.
Okay, so you like a little bit of, of a chase.
No, the opposite. I like directness.
You're right. I got that backwards. You're right.
It's okay. It's
hey,
okay.
can you just edit that out in post? Thanks. Just kidding.
I could, but I'm not going to.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right. So you've justified. You're looking into the corners. I think this is the one that you're going to regret the most, and that is: would you rather fight one dragon-sized goose or 10 goose-sized dragons? You chose to fight the 10
goose-sized dragons. I did choose that, and that's because I just hate geese. How much interaction have you had with geese over the past 10 years of your life?
Hasn't everyone had a chance to like grab one by the neck?
No. Have you done that?
How much have I had? For the purposes of this recorded podcast, I have not.
Okay. Wink, wink.
I mean, like, to an extent, right? Like, nothing aggressive, but I know who they are. Their reputation precedes them.
I just feel like as ferocious and dangerous as dragons are, geese are just mean. Geese are evil. Dragons, I feel like, probably at least have some sort of agenda. You can maybe talk to them, reason with them potentially, Geese, there's none of that. They're just mean, evil creatures. And they maybe are, like, not as dangerous, like, physically. But at least with the dragons, I could respect the death, and it'd be a quick one. Right? If a geese, like, imagine excuse me. Imagine dying to a goose. That's really the legacy you want to leave? Like imagine
it's a dragon-sized goose.
Still, though. What is this? Imagine they're like, singing songs about you in the future. You're this great adventurer, this great warrior, and your death is to a goose. I don't care what size it is. It could be Clifford the Red Dog sized. You know what I mean? That's just not an impressive death. But dying to 10 dragons? Yeah, they're geese sized, they're small, but it's still 10 dragons. Nobody's going to fault you for that.
So this just feels like a lot of lip service to justify your decision, because you're also assuming that the goose is going to attack you immediately. I mean, a lot of goose, sure, they hit you with some side eye, but most geese, they aren't gonna, immediately attack you. And maybe, you've got bread easily done. You can get away from them. The dragons as well. It depends on the type of dragon. Different dragons are more prone to it than others.
Yeah, this is a super deep question, actually. I just assumed that all of them would be attacking me regardless.
I think if they're all attacking me, like let's say they're all aggro, I like my chances with the goose better because it's one entity as opposed to like the dragons. They can follow you like into buildings and stuff, and maybe they breathe fire. It just feels like it's a more of a guaranteed way to die than it is to, as opposed to the goose. I can go in a building. I'm safe.
Yeah, but a dragon-sized goose, maybe it's really strong and can just kick down walls and things. Maybe it can peck windows and break them. I don't trust it.
It was like a feature-length movie, just like watching a dragon-sized goose just like kick down a grocery store while someone's running and like the shelves are falling over. That's really
I
cinematic.
would unironically watch, not dragon-sized, but like a Godzilla-sized goose attacking a city would be an incredibly hilarious movie.
I mean, they've done Sharknado. I want to say they've done an armadillo volcano. They've got some really weird ones.
You're kidding. You just made that up.
No, because it's like Armadillo-geddon. I swear to you, one of my coworkers brought it up. I have not looked into it extensively, and I could be wrong. It is secondhand information, but I'm pretty sure that is the case.
I don't believe it. You're going to have to send me a link after this. What on earth?
Let me look it up right now.
I know Sharknado is a real thing. That's why I think Goosezilla would totally work. But armadillo, what is it? Just instead of lava shoots out armadillos? That's ridiculous.
I'll have to look it up because clearly Armadillo Giddens not pulling up. I'll ask him next time. I'll be like,
Okay.
there was something in a volcano, and I it was something because he loves those like B tier horror movies. You know, like The Evil Dead was originally. That's his shtick. So I'll follow
Okay.
up with
We'll
him.
we'll do it off podcast, and then if it turns out to be a real thing, maybe we'll hit a slight mention next episode.
We'll do a segment of things that shouldn't exist that do.
That's a good one. Let's add it to the list.
I think so, but seems like you found some coin in his pockets, and after paying for the drinks, we take our leave from the tavern. The moon casts an eerie glow, with shadows flanking the town. It's an ungodly hour, but the mind is still left racing. What could there possibly be to do in this town? One building on the outskirts of the town shines brightly amidst the sleepy silhouettes. A short walk to the building leaves you in front of a quirky building. The architecture is unlike anything else in town, almost as if it was portaled from a faraway land. The sign is blinding at this hour as you squint to read the wording. Curiosities Emporium. To your side, an engraved plaque at the door. It reads, "Come one and all, learn about the oddities and mysteries of our world." You push the door inwards as you enter. You enter a crowded shop full of unimaginable wonders. Floating books, brooms dusting the floor with no one attached, haphazardly cluttered shelves. You wander for what feels like an eternity before finding two well-lit pillars. One contains a recipe card, and the other, a surprisingly ornate towel. So what we have got in these, the recipe card, and the answer to the hook from last week, the recipe for tomato ketchup.
No.
Ketchup was the cure. That is absolutely right. I was talking with a coworker about it actually, and he said that he has ketchup and it still helps with his indigestion, but ketchup used to be a medicine.
Wait, there's no way. Ketchup?
Yep.
The exact
So a little
same
bit of
recipe
history.
that's used now?
So it's much less different. There's much more sugar in modern ketchup, but by 1812, the first known published tomato ketchup recipe appeared, written by a scientist and horticulturist, James Mees. He's also known to have invented tomato-based ketchup. That is where ketchup originated, but in the 1830s, tomato ketchup was sold as a medicine that could cure ailments like diarrhea, indigestion, and jaundice. The idea was initially proposed by Dr. John Cook Bennett, an American physician in 1834 who later decided to sell the recipe in the form of tomato pills.
This is insane.
I can't imagine like looking at this like little red pill and you like kind of squishes in your hands and you're eating tomatoes.
That doesn't even make sense because tomatoes are like acidic. Like they're kind
Yeah,
of
they're part of the nightshade family.
They're commonly known as nightshade.
It's true.
But tomatoes are like commonly known to cause like GERD, like gastro-related issues. But ketchup was. What makes ketchup different? Did it? Okay, so it was claimed to cure ailments. Did it actually?
So funny you say that. After sales began, copycats flooded the market with their own pills, leading to a war of tomato pills. These copycats claimed their pills could solve all types of ailments, but in truth, most were just sold as laxatives.
See? I knew it. I knew it. There's no way, dude. Ketchup. Oh,
Other than anecdotal evidence, I do not believe there's any scientific proof behind it.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. So yeah, it was sold as a medicine, but like, did that medicine work? It doesn't seem like it. So
Yeah, it was most things in the 1830s, right? I mean, we used to use leeches, so things have come a long way.
leeches, though, I mean, they like suck stuff out of you. Like, I mean, they suck blood. So why couldn't they like get other things out too? That makes sense. Ketchup, though, just what is ketchup? Like, why? My guess, for the record, I didn't look this up. My guess was black pepper. And I still feel like that'd be a better medicine than ketchup.
Is absolutely hilarious. I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't gonna shame you. Black pepper is not a condiment.
Wait. Now I'm gonna have to look up the definition of a condiment. What is a condiment? It's only like sauces and things? Oh, because black pepper would be like a spice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it comes from a plant. Yeah, it's like a seasoning.
I guess I was like lumping spices in as condiments. But
I guess you're not too far from it. A substance such as salt or ketchup that is added to flavor
okay,
foods.
buddy.
You might not be wrong. You might not be wrong.
Okay, yeah, we're recording this. We're recording you calling me out and then not being correct. Let's ask Google, is pepper a condiment? First result, let's see what we're doing. Yes.
It can be considered. No, you're looking at the AI overview. It can be considered a condiment. Condiments are generally defined as sauces.
If you're using it in cooking, it counts as a spice. If you have it in a grinder on the dining table, it's definitely a condiment. So
it's still wrong either way you do it. It was ketchup.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was wrong either way, but I still think that'd be a better medicine. Because black pepper, like, that's kind of like got some like to it. You know what I mean? Like that could clear your sinuses if you like have enough of it. In my opinion.
I was thinking mustard. Honestly, I feel like mustard would cure something.
Now that's an odd guess. Now that is just an unreasonable guess.
That is rich. And so the other item, a surprisingly ornate towel. So my towels don't have this, but I've definitely seen some, mainly like hotel towels. They've got like the lines in there. Have you seen those?
Like on the ends of the towels, like the decorative?
It's close to the end of the towel, but it's, like maybe 3/4 of the way through. I can.
Oh yeah, okay. I looked up a picture just now. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know if I have any of those, but I've definitely seen them and used them.
So I was like, what do these do?
Yeah.
What's the point? I mean, they're just kind of cute. It actually has a name. It's called a Dobby border.
It's funny because when I was reading Dobby border, I was reading that as you were describing the Curiosities Emporium, the inside of it. This is all very Harry Potter themed. Am I wrong? The broomsticks floating around, dusting the floor. Dobby, obviously beloved Harry Potter character. This is Harry Potter. This is a Harry Potter episode.
Unintentionally, but this is as close as we're ever going to get to a Harry Potter episode. So we should lavish in it while we can.
Episode 2, we already made it to a Harry Potter reference. That's fine by me. Solid.
Find out on the next episode where we try to squeeze as many possible fan bases into one segment.
Oh, that would be that'd be terrible.
And try to make them all mad.
No, but you said, Dobby border.
Yeah,
what is
border,
that?
It does multiple things apparently. I've seen funny pictures. Some people think that, that's to separate what part of your body, you dry off first. But we all know that the towel forgets in the morning, so that's okay. So absorbency is one of the best qualities, but achieving the perfect balance between thickness and performance is really challenging. So turns out the Dobby border, the woven strip, helps maintain an even structure, preventing the edges from becoming too bulky, which ensures the towel remains soft, lightweight, easy to handle, and making it more efficient. Also, it's got a really pleasing aesthetic.
It does have a nice aesthetic. I'm struggling to understand how it keeps the towels soft, though.
It just prevents it from fraying, which helps with the durability, which I guess helps with the absorbency. I'm not a towel guy, but my information comes from Towel Hub, so they must know what they're talking about.
Now, let me stop you right there. What is a towel guy? What do you mean you're not a towel guy? You use towels every day, right?
All right, but that's different, right? Like, there's people that drink wine, myself included. Does that make me a wine guy? Probably. But there's like sommeliers. That's like an industry expert. You know what I mean? They've got like textile manufacturers. That is what I would consider a towel guy.
Okay, so you meant to say like you're not like a towel expert. You're not like a designer of towels.
Do you consider yourself a towel guy?
I love towels. They dry me off after every shower.
You dabble?
Awesome.
No, I air dry.
Ew.
Not actually.
Oh man.
I thought that was really interesting.
I think we're all towel guys, honestly. Hopefully. At the
Towel
end of
guys
the
and
day.
towel girls.
No, that's it's a weird name. And I don't fully understand it, so it might be something like I look into just out of curiosity when I'm like scrolling on my phone in bed later. Like what is this? But yeah, I mean that's cool to know that it's like a name. That reminds me how like everything has a name. I think we talked about this privately, but the little caps on the end of shoelaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are called aglets.
Aglets. Like everything has a name. Like even things you don't think have a name have a name. It's crazy. Maybe that could be a good segment. Random names of things.
One of my favorite, actually, on forks, those little teeth that forks have, those are called tines.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Why, like, why did like the whole thing is just a fork? Why do you need to name the little spikes? Well, I guess because then, so you don't have to call them little spikes. You can call them tines. I just answered my own question. Amazing.
Fork or dingle hopper, depending on who you ask.
Dingle hopper?
Yeah, do you not know that?
Let's save that for another episode. I feel like we could do a whole segment on names.
This is now. Do you know what dingle hopper is?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because people do know. Dingle hopper is what Ariel from The Little Mermaid referred to as a fork. So it's like a Disney reference. It's a deep cut somewhat, but most Disney nerds are gonna know it. Not necessarily that I am one, but
seems like you are one if you know an obscure fact like that. I'm gonna be honest.
I have to be good at bar trivia.
Although you have been to Disney recently for the Drinks Around the World, as mentioned in episode 1. What are you doing here if you haven't listened to it? But you probably are a little more well versed in Disney than I am. I mean it's recent enough. I don't think I've been since probably like 2004 or earlier. So definitely a discrepancy there.
That's been a while. Yeah, we gotta put that together.
But we can do it. Drinks Around the World. Let's go.
Let's get lavalier mics. Just record from there.
Let's record an episode in Disney, in Epcot. I don't think they'd allow that, but
on a ride in Space Mountain.
What if we do Drinks Around the World and then we come back to the hotel room and record an episode while we're buzzed or whatever off of the drinks from around the world? That'd be epic. Just saying.
Yeah. But the minutes become hours as you leave the shop amazed and awestruck. The world is a curious place, and they've bottled it up in one shop, just as the time comes for this adventure to be bottled up. Let's put a cork on this journey and call it a night. All good things must come to an end after all. Another adventure in the books. Our journey was met with altercations and positive interactions alike. A friendly bartender, a beaten baddie, and a shop most curious with a recipe for ketchup. The journey doesn't have to stop there. Let's take a look at the Tavern Bounty Board and see what we can find. It's a chance for you to level up with our weekly challenge to you, the listener. This week's bounty tasks you with asking someone about their cool tattoo. Tune into the next episode for your experience reward. What's the next quest looking like, Troy?
Yeah, we've definitely got an interesting one next week. Have you ever seen that show, What Would You Do?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay. It's basically that, but the stakes are much higher. Life and death, pretty much. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on socials at Sips and Side Quest to be notified when our next release lands. To find out more, leave a comment to let us know how we're doing, and drop a like for some easy experience points. This has been Troy.
And this has been Darren. Thanks again for joining us today. We'll see you right back here next time for yet another adventure.